time, weather.
Now for the Forge Podcast. Question for you. What's the power of your testimony if it's never shared? This is the Forge Podcast. All right, Dawson. Joe, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Joe.
Welcome to the Forge Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we don't know each other. Tell me about yourself. What's your testimony? What brings you to Forge? How'd you meet Edward? Start anywhere.
I'm 26. I own a mobile detailing company. That's how I met Edward. I used to wash his car. I still do wash his cars. Got in some trouble a couple years into starting my business and confided in Ed about it. And he's invited me to the Forge, invited me back to church, helped me build my relationship with Jesus again. Super blessed to have met the guy. And I look forward to just serving God the rest of my life and not getting any more trouble, not worrying anymore, just focusing on the final mission and the final destination.
What was that? I was just talking with Jason Belcher, the men's pastor. What was, and the term that we kind of coined up was that activation moment. Like, how'd you run into Edward, and what activated you to say yes, I guess, to coming to Forge, or to what was that like? Walk me through that process. So, were you at the end of yourself? I mean, what?
So, I guess we probably want to start from the beginning. I was raised Christian. Mm-hmm. Was raised going to church. Loved it. Was into wildlife in middle school. In 2009, my grandmother committed suicide, my mom's mom. And that set my mom and my older sister onto a dark path with a lot of drug use and addiction. I kind of just gave up at a young age. Started getting into trouble.
Like what age? Do you remember what age it was that you're like, this is it, or I'm done, or I'm giving up?
Maybe 14, 15. Okay. I had a suicide attempt at about 15 years old. I had another one at about 18. For years, getting kicked out of every school I went to, struggling to make friends, struggling to fit in. And then as I became a young adult, I tried to get some part-time jobs here and there, but just couldn't find anything that I enjoyed doing or anything that felt like it had meaning. And then it was about 2021 when I came up with an idea to start a business. I didn't know what the business would be. Yeah. I still didn't even have a car. I was struggling to keep jobs, but I knew I wanted to be my own boss.
Yeah.
I was working at a regular car wash. Detailing came to mind. I quit my job. I started detailing. I had been arrested a few times in the past with felonies.
Yeah.
So I was struggling to find like a good job. When I started the detailing business, I would go out 6 a.m, wait for anybody with a nice car to go to work, and I'd wait for them at Circle K. That's how I met Ed.
Oh.
It was about a year and a half after that.
Smart. What made you think of that idea? Just the nice car?
Yeah, just
like gas station. People are always coming in for gas, regardless of social economic level.
Well, I know my area.
Yeah. Okay.
I know the cars in my area. And I really didn't know how else to start.
What a great idea.
Didn't have money for cards at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, so I just kind of started by handing out flyers and just being out there, showing face to people, meeting people.
Genius.
It was about a year and a half after starting my detailing business that I was still kind of hanging out with the wrong crowd. Mm-hmm. And I definitely wasn't living for Christ, definitely wasn't looking for purpose yet. I was just trying to figure out my business and trying to, still hang out with my bad friend group.
Yeah.
And then got in some trouble, got arrested for something pretty serious. A couple days later, I bonded out and told myself I'm not going to tell any of my clients. I'm not going to tell anybody, really.
Right.
But then I went a couple days later to wash Ed's car, and the way he opened his garage and opened his arms to me, I broke down to him. Mm-hmm. I told him everything, not just the arrest, but my whole life. And Ed, being the strong Christian that he is, he knew the answer for me. And he's so wise. And he just said, you got to come to church with me. And so I met him at church one Sunday, him and his wife. Felt a lot of conviction in there. And then he started to invite me to the Forge. Felt even more conviction in there.
Yeah.
So I dealt with this case for about a year and a half on the outs, trying to not go to jail or prison, hoping for probation, praying for probation. I was struggling. I was struggling to keep a clear mind. I was struggling to focus. I was struggling to find any joy. I really didn't want to go. I was getting bitter at God again. And every night I would pray, why do I have to go? It was becoming more and more evident I wasn't going to get out of this. I wasn't going to get probation. I was going to have to go sit down for a while. And I was scared, and I asked God every night why. So when time came for me to turn myself in and sign the plea, we got it down to a year, which was a blessing in itself. But I still felt like that was too long. Turned myself in, have COVID. So 12 days of quarantine by myself in a jail cell with no phone calls, with no shower, nobody to talk to. And I started talking to God again. Not just praying to him at night, but
Sure.
all day, every day, seeking him. When they moved me into a pod with a bunch of other guys, it was dark. There was racial politics. There was a bad vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It was quiet. Felt lonely. And I started to read into my paperwork, and I found some small piece of hope that I could get out sooner than a year. And I'm talking to everybody, other inmates, my lawyer, my family, and everybody's telling me, don't get your hopes up. You need to focus
Right.
on the time ahead of you. But for some reason, I kept on talking to God about it and saying, I remember one thing I said over and over again was, you created the universe. You can get me out of here quicker.
Yeah.
I started to trust that he would. And after 35 days of doing that, I was sentenced. And at my sentencing, Ed was there. I had my whole family there. I had a good amount of letters from clients and friends speaking on my character. And it ended up being dropped to 6 months from a year. So walking back to my cell, thinking that those prayers just worked. Those prayers were answered. And I really couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Ed on the phone after that, and he's telling me how blessed I am and how God is going to use me.
Mm-hmm.
And something was starting to click there. It was 2 days later that they were moving me now out of the jail and to take me to prison. So I have a guard that's putting shackles on me. And I'm looking back into the pod where I was just for 35 days. It was dark. It was lonely. It was scary when I got there. And now the guys are laughing. They're eating together, playing cards together. They're hugging me and smiling at me as I'm leaving. And the guard that was putting the shackles on me, he said, "Man, it's like you were the light for those guys for the last month." And then that's when it really clicked. Something clicked in me in that moment. I was sitting in a cage for 3 hours by myself after that, thinking about what that guard just said to me. He said that I was the light for those guys. And it was a flood of emotions, but it was me realizing that I'm asking God why for a year and a half. Why do I have to go? Why do I have to go? And in that moment, I knew why.
Right.
Not only
That's
did I have
awesome.
to learn a lesson, but I had to be the light for those guys for 35 days. Talking to them about not only my business and my goals, but also about faith and what I've learned from Ed in that year and a half dealing with this. So I made a decision that when I came home, I'm gonna dedicate my life to whoever made me.
Yeah.
And then I didn't when I came home. I struggled to.
Yeah.
I told myself I'm going to stop listening to rap music. I'm going to stop hanging out with this crowd. And I didn't.
Yeah.
I wanted to, but I didn't know how to.
Yeah.
And it was really just me struggling to surrender. So I focused on business, focused on friends. Same things I was doing before. And in March of 2023, my friend Sammy was murdered. And I had lost some friends in high school and some people I had known from drug overdoses and car accidents, and this one just hit me different.
Yeah. Why? Can you identify what was different about this one? Why it hit you different?
I felt like I was. No, I really don't know why it was different.
Okay.
None of my friends that had passed away had clear relationships with Christ. But this one, it just triggered me. It might have been because he has kids. My other friends didn't have kids. I had picked up his twin boys maybe a month after. And when I dropped them off, I was contemplating where my friend was. He made rap music, not good rap music. He made like music about murder and drug dealing and gangbanging. And so I was kind of worried for him. And I was crying that night, and I was talking to God, where is he? I need a sign that my buddy is okay. And as I'm crying about this, I decided to put on some of his music so I could hear his voice. And as I'm listening to his music, I start to vision his murder. He was stabbed 38 times. So I'm visioning this, and I'm wishing I could have been there to fight with him, to defend him. And as I'm, bawling for my friend, who, mind you, I only knew for about 3 or 4 years, I started to vision Jesus on the cross. And I'd thought about it, I had known about it, but I had never visioned it like this.
Right.
Nobody told me that Jesus' spine was grinding against the cross and exposed. But I visioned that. And it wasn't until after that vision that I started to talk to other Christians that they said, yeah, I visioned that. I heard him weeping. And I started to question myself, why am I mourning this buddy that I knew for a couple years and not mourning God and what he did for me? And I'm thinking, what Jesus went through was 1,000 times worse than what my friend went through. And then I'm thinking, what Jesus went through was for my friend, so that what I'm sitting here worrying about, I don't have to worry about it. I can trust it. Something came over me in that moment that let me know that my friend was saved. And I don't need to know the details of why or how. I trust his grace. I trust God's mercy. And I felt a little bit of peace in that moment. On YouTube, when you're listening to some music, it'll recommend a similar song.
Right.
After my buddy's song finished playing, it didn't recommend a similar song. It recommended a Christian song.
What?
In that moment, too, of all the moments for it to do that.
No kidding.
It's as I'm having this like epiphany. So I felt like it was God telling me to delete all of my friend's music and to not to remember him by that sinful nature anymore. That's not him anymore. And so I had to delete all of his music. My algorithm started getting flooded with Christian music after that. I started noticing that when I'm listening to the Christian music on a day-to-day basis, I'm not feeling as bitter, I'm not feeling as lonely, I'm feeling more hungry and more thirsty for God.
Yeah.
And I started showing up to the Forge more. And I started showing up to Sundays more. And I started looking for more ways to serve. It was around that time that I had relations with this girl, and I started feeling a lot of conviction about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the decision to surrender that to God. That was tough for a couple months, got through it, and for a year I've felt so much cleaner, so much more pure, so much like I feel like I'm making him proud. And it's not just that one thing. It's just my life is slowly starting to develop itself into a Christian life, and it feels so good. So I keep on having these little instances in my life that are compounding into a very strong faith and a fire inside of me. And then what do I do with it? That's what I'm looking for. What do I do with it? And Ed starts bringing me out on some mentoring trips.
Yeah.
And starts bringing me to some places where I can be used. I noticed that there's a change in my prayer. Instead of asking for things or trying to gain something out of the prayer, I pray to develop intimacy. I pray to get to know God.
Mm-hmm.
I feel way more joy in what I'm doing now than what I was doing. And every day that goes by, I solidify my confidence in my path. I know that the way I'm heading is the right way. At some point, I said to myself, I got to get baptized. I was baptized as a baby, but I want to do this as an adult. I want my family, my friends, I want my mentor, Ed, I want them to know that I'm serious.
Right.
I want them to see that I'm making a commitment and hold me accountable to that commitment. And I don't know if I'd have ever gotten back on track if it wasn't for a relationship with Jesus. I think I'd still be lost, I'd still be angry, and I'd still be acting out. You know, when I think about life, I think about it as a test. If he's creating this kingdom, he doesn't want just anybody in that kingdom. Just like if we were creating a kingdom, we wouldn't want just anybody in that kingdom. We would want people that love us in that kingdom.
Right.
And we not only people that love us, but people that are willing to lay their lives for us. You hear a lot, stairway to heaven and a highway to hell. And a lot of people are going to hell very fast, and they're having fun while doing it.
Right.
Meanwhile, the stairway to heaven it's slow, it's a lot of work, and there's not a lot of people on it. And I don't want to crash. I want to prosper. And I don't want to have fun while here on earth. I want to be used. I want to have purpose. And I want to hear the words, "Well done, my faithful servant."
Yeah.
I don't want to hear "Depart from me." And so every day when I wake up, it's easy to thank him for another day. It's easy to thank him for health and family. But it's not easy to thank him for hardship and pain. And all the hardship and pain that I went through, I see the purpose for it now, and I have to thank him for it. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful that I went through everything I went through. And hopefully when I go through new valleys, I can respect those valleys, understand why they're there, and trust that there's going to be growth at the end of those valleys.
Yeah. Yeah, something I tell my guys at my table at Forge is that everything we're going through is a walking testimony. We might be in the beginning stage of that testimony, right? We don't all just have one testimony. We have, our lives are multiple testimonies, right? Little season here, this. So they're all testimonies. They're all to be used by God to educate us, to restore us, and then how can we then, once we've come through that, how can we then take that testimony and then go and help out another Dawson?
Yeah.
Or another Joe or another. So, I mean, we're all in the stage of a testimony, the beginning, the middle, the end, and then on to another one, and then on to another one. It's like, enjoy them. Like James says, count it pure joy.
Absolutely.
You can I see the joy in your face knowing, oh my gosh, that's what I learned from these trials. That's joy. There's joy there. The next trial, the challenge then is the next trial we're through. All right, God, what am I learning through this? This is difficult. I am being tested and pushed beyond my comfort, but man, I know there's joy because I remember from that last trial, man, the joy that I had afterwards and what I was able to do with that, carry that on to the next trial, the next trial, the next trial.
Absolutely. And that's what's so great about the Forge. As a young man who's wanting to follow Jesus and to live a Christian life, it can be difficult to get into the Bible and to process it and understand it.
Right.
So you come to the Forge, and I sit down with guys that have read the Bible for 40 years.
Yeah.
And they can explain things to me that I might not be able to explain to myself. And back to the struggle, when I'm going through something tough in life, how awesome is it that I can come to a room with 300 guys that have been through it?
Yeah.
And can walk me through it.
Yep.
And help me through it. And when I look at my mentors, the guys I look up to at the Forge, I think about, well, there's going to be guys that are looking up to me too. And so
Yep.
There's a role to be played here. There's responsibility. And I think how great it is that there's 300 guys every Tuesday night that show up to build each other up.
Yeah.
And that's why I love that it's called the Forge. It's not supposed to be comfortable. It's supposed to be slightly uncomfortable. You're supposed to feel the fire, let it forge you into a more Christ-like man.
Yep.
And I feel like it's working with me. I feel like it's working with a lot of the guys here. And yeah, I mean, my testimony is not going to go to waste. I've made that decision. This all has purpose behind it. I'm going to use it, and I'm going to let it build other people up.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to ask you just, Edward, I mean, your encounter with him is incredible. Edward heads up our mentoring, the mentoring in the Forge.
Yeah.
Give me, what has that meant to you? What is Edward coming alongside one-on-one? That's what he does. He goes one-on-one. Like some guys want to do the table. Most guys sit around the table. But some guys just want to go sit one-on-one with a guy that can meet them where they're at and maybe talk a little deeper, a little quicker because it's just one guy. It's not 10 guys that you don't know. So talk me through your experience with Edward briefly. We got about 6 minutes, but and I got a couple more questions. But
Ed really knows how to break down your vulnerability. He knows how to get to the deepest side of you. And yeah, one-on-one is the best place to do that. You might feel more comfortable talking to one guy than you do 10. Ed, to me, is like a hand for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus can use Ed to reach people like me, showing me love, showing me a good way to live my life, showing me the right way to live my life, being an example, not just telling me, but showing me.
Mm-hmm.
The love that Ed has shown me, especially when nobody else was. I'm facing prison time. I felt so alone. And I could call Ed anytime, and he would not only answer, but he'd be willing to meet up with me for lunch or coffee. He'd hold me, let me cry to him.
Mm-hmm.
And what it meant to me, I know it means to others. So when I think about how does Jesus want me to live, Ed is a great example of that.
That's awesome.
He really is a great example of that. I've never heard him complain. I've never heard him worry. I go to him with my complaints and my worries, and he is so good at relaxing me and showing me the bigger picture, reminding me of what this is all about. This isn't about me. This isn't about making as much money as possible. This isn't about being happy all the time. This is about doing our duty while here. And our duty while here is to help others and to save others.
It's awesome, man.
You can't do that by washing cars. As much as I might think that I'm helping people and saving people by washing their cars, I'm providing a minuscule service compared to what guys like Ed are doing here. And I would way rather be doing what Ed does than washing cars. And so as I get older, as I get more time under my belt and have more freedom to...
Well, think about it this way. Sorry to interrupt, but
No, you're okay.
Okay, so we've got this detailing business, and now you bring on Doug, James, Phil, and Ray. Now you got 4 guys that aren't believers underneath you that you don't have to do necessarily all the day-to-day detailing, but now you're mentoring from a business standpoint. They're your employees, but now look at Dawson's coming alongside them and doing what Ed did.
Yeah.
And then guess what? Now we're talking exponential growth where you affect those 4 people that goes back, they go back to their family, and now you're generationally changing families. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, don't despise the business you have. God used that to bring you to Ed, to bring you back to Jesus, and then now watch him use the business to, who knows? I mean, you could go and start trading stocks tomorrow. I don't know. But, I mean, if you stay in the detailing business, build that and look how you could affect other people's lives.
Absolutely. It's exciting. It's exciting to look at where my life is going and to know that there's going to be so many opportunities to do his work. And it's exciting. It gets you fired up.
Well, dude, thanks for meeting me, Dawson. It's great to meet you, and I can just see the joy in your eyes. I can see passion. I can see just a spark. There's just so much happiness in your eyes, and that's fun to see. I'm encouraged.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've found peace and I have found joy in a relationship with Jesus where I don't think I could have found it anywhere else. In fact, I know I couldn't have found it anywhere else. I tried forever. So that's my heads up to everybody I'm going to meet from now on is give Jesus a shot. Give him a shot.
Dawson, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll see you Tuesday.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for listening to the Forge Podcast.